you, she might not like intimacy, but she's still an intimate person. So they might say, okay, yeah, no worries, you can go, stay over at your friend's house. I know you two are just close. Oh, you can go on holiday with that guy that you knew from your neighbor. It's fine. I know my wife. She would never touch him. She would never touch you, but she would touch him. And they become very naive. And as a result, these men tend to experience divorce without doing anything wrong. They haven't done anything. They haven't actually done anything bad to their partners. They're not like that guy that you hear that has been drinking and is aggressive. And they actually haven't done anything wrong, but they find themselves divorced or cheated on again and again and again. So this seems to be my number one cause of men suffering in relationships. Now, when it comes to women, can you have a look at these questions? And men and women, by the way, if you can answer these questions. You meet someone fantastic, you see each other regularly, and are intimate. What's your next step? Are you head over heels and start imagining the wedding? No? You enjoy the relationship and stop dating others? Yeah. And you stay on Tinder and avoid the what are we talk. You kind of spread yourself even more thinly. Anyone start doing that? No? You are in a relationship, and the topic of social media and passwords comes up. Do you want to exchange passwords and locations? No? Do you want to have their password, but them not have yours? Yeah? Or I don't need their password, and I don't think they need mine. We have some boundaries. Yep. Now, how do you split finances? So, I feel guilty if someone spends on me, so I pay for everything. Does anyone do that? No? I usually spend less than my partner, allow them to kind of endow you, or we split them equally. What would you say you are? Okay. Now, you notice your partner has been on dating apps on their phone, and they were last active a few hours ago. They claim their phone was hacked, and they have no idea why it was there. So, would you not fully believe them, but stay in the relationship, despite being hurt? How many of you would leave immediately, and how many of you would not care? What would you think you would do? Yep. Now, with the person next to you, tell me you don't have to say it if you don't know each other, but what do you think is the worst relationship you've tolerated in your behavior? Do you think continuous infidelity, physical abuse, financial exploitation, no intimacy, none of the above, or all of the above? What's the worst thing you've tolerated? You don't have to say that out loud, but just have a think. What do you think is the worst behavior you've conducted? Infidelity, physical abuse, financial exploitation, no intimacy, none of the above, or all of the above. What do you think? Now, if you have answered in a way that's a bit concerning about what you've tolerated, you've probably created the codependent woman. Just like we have the nice guy, there is a female equivalent. And the female equivalent that I find with a lot of my clients and a lot of my followers is the codependent woman. And she's also formulated in a similar but slightly different way to the nice guy. The first thing, again, there's an attachment to one parent over the other, and usually the attachment is to the deceitful parent. None of our parents are perfect. Yeah? We all come from homes where maybe the dad was unfair, maybe the mum was unfair. They do something that's wrong to each other. Most of us have that experience. The problem with the codependent woman, she tends to attach to the more deceitful parent. She tends to attach to the parent that may have been blaming the other person completely. The more deceitful, they're hiding something. Lots of people have broken homes, but not everybody becomes codependent. It's usually when they see one parent as a total angel and the other parent as a total devil. And what they do in the process is they ignore all the signs of who the deceitful parent is. The other thing that happens in their childhood is they lack verbal affirmations. They don't get enough compliments growing up for whatever reason. They don't really get much verbal affirmations. So what happens is when they hear the right things, when their partner tells them the right things, they immediately attach. They will ignore every red flag. Even if the guy is in prison writing her nice letters, she'll marry him. Yeah? She'll get super attached to whoever says the right things, even if their behavior is the exact opposite. So I'll have clients that might catch their partner doing all sorts of problematic behavior, but they will still, they might be on, they might have never had any issues. They randomly catch an STD. Their partner will say, no, it's not my fault. You must be doing something. And immediately they'll just believe their partner instantly. Yeah, they completely avoid all the red flags. And as a result, they attach very prematurely, and they don't let go of that person, just like they did in their childhood. They attached to one parent, and no matter how deceitful that parent was, no matter how difficult that parent was, no matter how much the evidence contradicted their parents' version of events, they would attach to that parent. So they do the same thing with men. They do the exact same thing. No matter how much abuse they go through, they don't want to let go of that partner. They prematurely commit. Okay? So we have the codependent woman and the nice guy, and both of these archetypes tend to attract the worst relationships. They attract relationships that are very long because both of them are very committed to the cause, but they tend to attract the worst, and they very rarely attract each other. For some reason, they don't attract each other, and we'll look at the reasons why. Okay? So they tend to attract partners with excessive trauma, lots and lots of trauma. The reason why they attach to people with lots of trauma is both of these people don't like talking about themselves. They don't like discussing their intimate details. They're quite closed. By attracting somebody with trauma, we can focus on their problems. Oh, you were abused. Perfect. Let's talk about that. Or you have an addiction. Perfect. That's another thing. They look for somebody with addictions. Oh, you have an addiction. Let me help you. Let me save you. The focus gets shifted on their partner. They like to focus on their partner, not themselves, because they don't really have outward issues from what they think. They tend to attract partners that are either unfulfilled at work or excessively work. But this work seems to be a common issue with their partner. Their partners are not fully fulfilled. They don't really attract people who are fulfilled, enjoying life, really doing well in life. They attract people with a brokenness, particularly at work, and they attract partners that are sexually distant. They think that their partner is just sexually distant. They don't realize that their compromising and submissive behavior is causing the submission. They think their partner just has a low sex drive. They think their partner just doesn't like sex. They don't realize is that their passivity and their naivety is making them less attractive to their partner. Okay, so this is the partner they tend to attract. They very rarely attract each other. And the reason for this is that they have 4 fears. They have a fear of rejection, fear of isolation, fear of conflict, and fear of truth. These are their main fears that they have. So just remember trick. So they have a fear of the truth, they have the fear of rejection, isolation, and conflict. Okay? So the first one is their intense fear of rejection. So what they do, because they're so afraid of rejection, super afraid of rejection, what they do is to create a relationship, they want to feel needed. And so they think, well, I know she might not like me, but if I pay her bills, at least she'll need me and call me every time she needs something. Or I know that he might not love me, but because I always support him and nobody else does, and because he's jobless, maybe if he can live with me, then at least I know he stays with me. They choose people and connect with them through feeling needed. The other thing they do is they never polarize their partner. And what I mean by that is they'll never say to their partner, why are we not sleeping together? Or do you want this relationship or not? Or do you want to get married or not? They don't put them in positions where there's a yes or no answer. They kind of tiptoe so that they won't be rejected. So then even if they find something really negative about their partner, they'll never put them in a position where they confront them and polarize them. They want to tiptoe so that they avoid rejections. And the final thing they do in this regard is that they don't have deal breakers. Everybody, absolutely everybody, should have deal breakers in a relationships. So what I mean by that is there should be some things that occur that make you walk away from a relationship. With the nice guy and the codependent woman, there's nothing. There's nothing. You have to leave them. They will never say, oh, you cheated on me, you're gone. Oh, you've been financially exploiting me, you're gone. They wait till their partner makes the decision for them. And so they never have deal breakers. And deal breakers, I don't know if you can see that, but if you have a look at those 12 deal breakers, with the person next to you, could you decide, you just need 3. To be honest, you only need 3 deal breakers. You don't want to be unreasonable. You only need 3 deal breakers in every relationship that you get into that you know that if this happens, I will walk away. Without any deal breakers, you will become subject to abuse. So have a look and just pick 3 deal breakers that you will try and execute in your relationship. Now, if you found that you've experienced a lot of these and you didn't walk away, you might be suffering from the syndrome, okay? So have a look. What do you think is some of the deal breakers? The first one is not valuing your opinion. Is that a deal breaker? Yeah? What about they don't present themselves very well? Deal breaker? No physical chemistry? Tends to be a bit of a deal breaker. Financially irresponsible, sexual abuse, sacrificing, disagreeing, needing this, differences in sex drive, drug abuse, and verbal and emotional abuse. There should be some deal breakers. Now, if you look at that and you think, I've accepted all of that in my relationships, then chances are you accept the unacceptable. The next thing is they have a fear of isolation. Now, all nice guys and codependent women really are terrified of being alone. They have a terrifying idea, they just don't want to be alone. But the problem is, because they're afraid to be alone, they don't develop their own identity. They just say yes to everybody around them. They just want to be accepted and approved of. In that process of just adapting and trying to be accepted by everybody, they become inauthentic. And because they become inauthentic, nobody actually really values them. So they end up being isolated. So for example, if they go to events or they go and meet new people, they'll just say, yeah, I do that too. And oh my God, I'm into that fitness too. And I do this too. They just agree with everybody, mold into everybody. And as a result, they don't leave their mark on anyone. No one actually knows who they are, what they stand for, what their values are. Nobody learns anything from the nice guy or the codependent woman. So they end up becoming very inauthentic and they end up being isolated. They find it draining being around people because they're always pleasing people rather than being themselves. So the first thing to remove this is to become more open. Nice guys and codependent women are very, very private. They don't let anybody in on their private life. They only let their partner in on it. And as a result, they put their partner on a pedestal and be like, my partner knows everything about me. But if they just spread that openness to other people, they wouldn't feel this way. The other thing that they need to do is spend some alone time to figure out what they actually like doing when they're alone. They're so used to bending and contorting themselves around their partner, they don't even know what they like to do in their alone time. And they never listen to the no in them. And what I mean by that is everybody will have a part of their brain that says, I don't want to do this, or this doesn't feel right, or I shouldn't accept this. They never listen to that voice. Instead, they just submit to what their partner is saying. So, with the person next to you, or whoever you're comfortable with, or just think, can you answer these open questions? So, what aspect of your life is causing you the most stress? Nice people find it very difficult answering these questions. So can I give you 2 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, just have a look at these questions with the person next to you. Can you answer just at least 3 of those questions with the person next to you? Okay, sorry, I hate interrupting you guys when you're talking. I know you probably haven't finished those questions, but I just got the signal for the time, so I apologize. So, nice guys, sorry. Can I grab you again? Yeah, nice guys and the codependent women, like I said, they're very, very private. They'll never be able to open up about what's causing them stress. They'll never be honest about what makes them feel jealous. They never think highly of themselves, so they don't even pay attention to the compliments that they get. They kind of just dismiss them, and they tend not to be honest about their vulnerabilities. They don't do that at all. So when they do find someone they do it with, usually their partner who's quite abusive, they do it with their partner, and then they are over-attached to their partner. They think this must be my soulmate because I can open up, but really they tend to open up with the wrong people. They tend to open up with people who use their vulnerabilities against them and who exploit their vulnerabilities. If they just spread that openness more openly to everybody in their life, they would be fine. Now, the final thing is they have a terrible, terrible relationship with the truth. Nice guys and codependent women, it's like the truth doesn't exist. The truth is a completely different realm and reality. What they believe in their head is what they actually believe. They will ignore all the signs of truth. So they'll become extremely naive. So what I mean by this is even if they've got all the signs that their partner's bad to them, they will ignore all of that. They might have several signs that their partner's having an affair. I had a client recently who's had a vasectomy, and yet his wife had a miscarriage, and she got pregnant and had a miscarriage. He genuinely believed that the doctors got it wrong. He said, the doctors got it wrong. There is no way she could have had that. I was going to sue that hospital, but I didn't in the end. So they'll do things like that. They will literally contort the truth completely to fit their narrative because they just have this belief, my partner would never. She would never. He would never. They believe they've created this paradigm that my partner would never, and therefore everything in the world just has to fit that narrative. And because they're always lying to themselves to keep their relationship, they lash out at others. Usually people in this condition, their friends and family will say, your partner's using you, or your partner doesn't seem like they're good to you. Instead of setting a boundary with their partner, they will cut off the person who says it to them. They'll never speak to their friend again, or they'll never speak to their mum again. They'll never speak to the people who are actually looking out for them. They lash out at others, and they avoid asking questions. They will never ask deeper questions in their relationships. They won't know. They might catch their partner on terrible websites and just not ask, or they might catch their partner watching something strange kind of porn, and they'll never ask. They just avoid the questions. Now, the key thing that they have to focus on is actions always speak louder than words. You have to develop, those people who want to avoid a divorce, you have to fall in love with people's actions, not their words. Words are free, words are meaningless, words can be lies. I'm not saying everybody does that, but actions and words have to align before you attach. Where nice guys and the codependent women fall apart is they attach before they allow the actions to cause an attachment. They simply attach. They don't have balanced boundaries. They either cut everybody off or they over-attach. So they might cut off a family member, might cut off everybody else, but when it comes to their partner, the partner they will attach to no matter what. They don't have balanced boundaries. They should have equal boundaries for people that they are in love with, but also friends and family. They don't do that. They cut off everybody else, but focus on their partner. And they never ask deeper questions. So, again, if you're in a relationship or if you're not in a relationship, can you talk to the person next to you? Can you try and answer some of these questions? These are slightly more deeper relationship-based questions. With the person next to you, could you answer a couple of those questions? When do you feel most and least attracted? What compliment means the most? So on and so forth. Can I give you 5 minutes to just talk with the person next to you? So in order to gain access to the truth, you have to remove your pre-constructed idea about your partner and actually get to know them. We all, when we're madly in love with someone, we assume they would never hurt us. Most partners don't want to hurt us. But what creates that kind of hurt is when you try and explain something to your partner, but because your partner doesn't want to know the truth, you can't tell them the truth, and as a result, your relationship can't progress. So I know lots of women who have tried telling their nice guy partner that they want them to take more of a lead, or they want them to be authentic, or they want them to be disobedient. They want some pushback, but their partner doesn't listen to that. Or some men that will say about their codependent partner, they want them to have some boundaries. They want them to have some willingness to walk away, but they don't listen. So it's really, really important with your relationships to ask deeper questions. Of course, they might get offended by some of the answers. Of course, you're going to get emotional tension, but emotional tension is required for growth. So, and I know I said this was a final, actually, the final part about codependent women and nice guys is how they deal with conflict. And the most common tactic they have with conflict is just to completely avoid it. And the common thing that they'll say is, I wanted to keep the peace. I just want to keep the peace, so I avoid conflict. Avoiding conflict does not create peace. It creates tension. It doesn't create peace. All you're doing is having to submit your own needs to make the relationship work, but in the long run, we don't want to be with somebody that doesn't have any needs and we just walk all over them, and you don't want to be with somebody who just walks all over you. So it doesn't actually lead to peace. It leads to short-term peace at the expense of long-term connection. So you don't want to avoid conflict. They also just submit. They just say, okay, fine, it's not worth the headache. I'll just listen to you. Now, in small things, absolutely, you can do that. When it just comes to like picking restaurants or little things, absolutely, you can just say, okay, fine, whatever you want. But you can't do that with major deal breakers. You can't just submit. So you have to think about your long-term peace. Are you actually trying to build connection and making sure that you have the same needs? Or are you just trying to get them to be with you and stay with you? And that doesn't actually work. So the key thing is usually it comes from your childhood, and you might have had a parent that just didn't allow you to voice your opinion. And you got into the habit of just not saying what you need to say in order to keep the peace in your home. The key with any kind of conflict is always to start with, I feel. If you feel uncomfortable with conflict, this is just a quick cheat sheet. You start with, I feel. Confrontations don't have to be negative. Let's say, for example, my partner keeps coming home very late. All I have to do is say, I feel lonely. I feel upset. I feel sad. You start with you, I feel. Then you say exactly what event causes you to feel that. I feel lonely when you don't come home at night. I feel lonely when you don't make time for me. I feel lonely when you're always working. So you say to the specific event, and you state exactly what you need. So you state with I feel, the specific event, and what you need. I feel lonely when you don't come home more often. I need you to spend more time with me. Or I feel upset when you're talking to other people online, and I need you to close off alternatives to make our relationship work. I feel the exact event and what you need. Conflict doesn't have to be hostile. It simply just has to have an exact cause and an exact outcome of what your needs are. So, sorry, did you want to take it? I'll just leave that on for a second. So I feel the event and state what you need. So, for example, with the person next to you, you notice your partner is spending more and more time on their phone and is no longer present. How would you do that? Can you talk to the person next to you? What would you do? What about if you're at a social event and your partner is spending more time talking to others than to you? How would you state that? And finally, if your partner is going out without you, rarely spends time with you, makes independent plans, how would you express that without it turning into a fight? So, to summarize, I don't want to go over too much time because I know there's lots of amazing speakers lined up. So, just to summarize, in my personal experience, and from what I've noticed from working with so many clients and having so many people comment on my views and videos and whatever, and sadly what seems to go viral is when I talk about these two topics. When I talk about something to do with being submissive to a woman or a woman being accepting unacceptable behavior from a man. These tends to be the things that people resonate with the most. So those two archetypes of relationships, they're the ones that suffer the most. And the causes of divorce don't tend to be cheating, alcohol, addiction, that we all think. It actually takes a person that allows and accepts that behavior from day one. The nice guy and the codependent women accept the unacceptable from day one. They sign an unconscious contract that says, I'm going to accept your addiction, your abuse, your trauma. I'm going to accept it, but then I'm going to stay there and put up with your abuse until you've had enough and then you've moved on. So it's not really the narcissism that's the problem. There's going to be narcissists everywhere. There's going to be abusive people everywhere. But what you can do to protect your peace is not become the doormat that they wipe their feet on. And the main ways that you avoid that is remove your fear of rejection, isolation, conflict, and really search for the truth. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you.
Guys, welcome to my course on masculinity. And in this course, not only will I be able to completely transform your understanding of women, but on a more personal level, you will enhance your self-esteem, self-respect, and your boundaries. The goal of this course is to take a man that has absolutely fantastic intentions, wants to find love, wants to commit, wants to have a good, healthy relationship, but is finding that he's constantly running into women who are narcissistic, who are disrespectful, who are disloyal. Now, if you are finding that continuously, then there must be something in your engagement with women that is causing this. What my course will do is look at where this problem comes from, how to resolve it, how to communicate effectively with men and women, and how to command respect. Most importantly, how to improve your self-respect. And throughout the course, you'll be given interactive sessions, but with course materials to help you channel and journal your learning. So if you are interested in becoming the most masculine version of yourself, join today.